so I'm glad to hear that you don't think it's already funny. But so for the first time since we started doing this, I'm gonna have to do this because Kris has got about 4.5, 5 inches on me at least. But so guys, Kris, we're out here at a property here in Central Texas, and we're finding pressure switches, and ooh, you got some bare wires right above your head. That's a perfect example of a non-emergency customer hazard. So that we're going to submit a form for. But so we got a customer reported that the what were they saying, that the acid was not coming on?
Yeah, the pH is not coming on.
Okay, so the pH line was not coming on, so the acid pump wasn't feeding when needed. We got out there. Obviously, controller's not lit up. Pressure, no pressure in the pressure switch. And it looks like their filter pressure is 0. A little bit of water, but yeah, not a lot. So now it looks like they've got some decent debris in that pump basket as well. So usually what we do in this situation is the maintenance guy available?
No. Yeah. So in this situation, we had one maintenance guy just leave and the other one just quit right before we got to property.
So what we're gonna do, since I'm out here, what I'm gonna do is go ahead. I'm gonna turn the pump off. Oh wow, we got some wiring issues here. We got some concerns. I've got my phone ringing, but we're gonna check this pump pot. It's got not too bad on. This is a super pump, not a whisper flow. It looks sort of like a whisper flow, but you can see it's got a square volute. See into the impeller, so I'm just gonna splash some stuff in there. See, I can, ooh yeah, good amount of leaves in that impeller.
What Kevin is demonstrating right now is how to clean an impeller with your hands. Make sure you turn the power off to the pump first before you do this.
Yeah, you want to make sure the power's off, and the other thing is you want to make sure the power can't return without you trying to turn it on. So you see they have a timer, but the little switches are pulled off of it, so it's not going to kick on while I'm working. But if you were to go to a property and maybe they've got a timer on their pump or a timer on the pool lights or something like that, and you're working on them, you can't use the timer as the disconnect, because it's not actually a disconnect, it's just a control device. So you want to go to the breaker, use a lockout, lock it out and tag it out. It's just completely impacted. So it's John Wayne's colon.
Yeah, that was pretty decent. Yeah.
So I'm trying for you, man. I'm trying.
Why would you do John Wayne like that? He didn't do anything to you.
He did not do anything to me. So now we're gonna put our basket back in there. All right. We're gonna make sure that this O-ring is nice and clean. It's a big cause. A lot of times when customers have a suction, they think they have a suction leak. The pump's not priming up. What it really is debris either on the O-ring or underneath the O-ring. So we make sure that that's clean. Get it back on there. Now I'm going to start it up in backwash. So I fully compress the valve. I turn it clockwise. I let it pop back up into place. And now. So as that primes, we're going to step out here where it's a little bit quieter and kind of discuss how a pump works. So a centrifugal pump is basically, it works very similar to the way a fan works, right? Okay, so it has a motor, it's getting a current inducted through it, and that's going to create a magnetic field. The magnetic field turns the rotor, and on the end of that shaft for the motor has what's called an impeller, which is a lot like a propeller, right? But it causes everything to be pushed and flung out from the impeller, and that creates a minor vacuum at the center of the impeller. So when you've pushed all the water in the pump out of the pump, it's now that it's creating a vacuum. That vacuum, nature abhors a vacuum, tries to fill that vacuum, and the only way for it to fill that vacuum is with a fluid that's in the pipes. So whether that's air in the pipes or water in the pipes. The big caveat to all that is that the pumps are designed to move water, fluids, not, or I should say liquids, not fluids, air is a fluid, but they're designed to move liquids not gases. And so if the whole system is full of air, then it can't prime up. But as long as that pump has some water in it up above the level of the impeller, and you turn the pump on, it's going to pump that water out. It will fill with air initially, but it's going to continue moving that water further down the line and bleeding that air out, and eventually it will prime up. We can see right here, this pump versus the level of the pump versus the level of the pool. It's about 5 foot difference, 4.5 foot difference. We're about 4.5 feet above the pool. And so that's about the maximum that a commercially made swimming pool pump is going to be able to prime up. If you're higher greater than that, it's not going to prime up. And we can see now the pump is, you could hear it surging in the video a minute ago. Now you see that it's priming up. You can see, again, I pointed out the electrical for that is in dire need of repair. See the waste. But the pump does prime up well, and you can hear it's reworking out. So you're gonna backwash a pump for about 3 minutes. And that pump, when it's backwashing, has to have the rated flow rate. So every sand filter is different, but generally you want 15 gallons per minute per square foot of filter area. And that's the surface area on a sand filter. So a DE filter, a cartridge filter, has a lot more surface area for the size of the tank. But for a sand filter, it's just gonna be the surface area of the sand bed. And on this one, which is a tagless or sand dollar, it's into flow rate, and that's 60 gallons per minute. So it wants 60 gallons per minute in filter. This is a residential filter. It's designed to filter at 20 gallons per minute per square foot. Commercial filters are designed to filter at 12 to 15 gallons per minute per square foot. So this is saying 60 to 20 gallons per minute per square foot, so it's gonna be 45 gallons per minute we need in backwash, otherwise it's not going to properly clean that sand. And we've got a video on that. You can see the pump's primed up, it's running properly, filter's backwashing. Sight glass is now running fairly clear. It's dirty, but it's not the water that's dirty. So we're gonna take this pump, we're gonna return it to the off position. We're now gonna go to the rinse. I missed it. I was looking at the Spanish or the Portuguese. Okay, so it's now in rinse mode, and what this does, as Kris knows, is that the water is going to go through the sand filter the way that the water should travel through the sand filter in filter mode, but it's going to send the water, rather than back to the pool, it's going to send it out the waistline just like the backwash. This allows the sand bed to be compressed so that you're not going to spit out any dirt or debris that's in the filter right now back to the pool just because we put it back in filter. So we'll let it run that way. It's got a prime, they're having a priming issue for sure. Now, another 10 seconds or so. So I'll cut the pump off and you operate the valve, that way we hopefully don't lose prime. Oh! It's teamwork. So now, our controller's working. They're still reading 0 PSI on that, but considering all the debris they had in their pump, they do not have a, oh, they do have a flow meter improperly installed. We want to submit a SR diagnostic request form for the return line, the flow meter, the pressure gauge, and the electrical that has to do with the pump. We also want to submit a non-emergency hazard check, and in the notes explain that they have exposed wiring in their pump room. Because obviously, I mean, that was this, yeah, it was just above your head, and who knows, maybe the breaker's off, maybe the, you know, I don't even see it. Yeah, the switch is hanging out of the wall. I mean, who knows if it's live or dead, but I don't want to find out. And the way, with you standing right there, it was like, ah! So definitely want to submit that non-emergency hazard form, because the place isn't about to burn down, but it's a serious hazard that they've got exposed wiring in this pump room. Very good, but so we're going to do a system check, make sure that everything's good, and we'll get back with you guys a little bit later today.